It's time to high five and fist bump. A jiu-jitsu podcast for the everyday grappler. Let's talk subs. Let's talk positions. Let's talk dominating the mats. Welcome to the Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu podcast with Raymond Terrence.
My guest today, Bryan Viera.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Co-host
Hello,
is
Luciana.
in the house. Luciana. I've been having a hard time with that all day.
I thought it was Luciana until you said her name. No, until I heard her say her name on a little doc.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Luciana. Okay.
Luciana Marcos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
Good. You took an Uber all the way from the east end of Montreal just to get here.
Well, yes.
Nice.
But it's really lovely here. Yeah, and congratulations for your new studio.
Thank you. You
really
are
fucking amazing.
You are the first one here because
lucky.
we had two of our fellow black belts who bailed on us on Sunday, which we won't mention their name.
Professor Phil.
But thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it. And so new studio. And so maybe tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Honestly, Bryan and I have no idea. We have no idea.
We don't know who you are.
No, we don't know who you are.
Yeah, they just happened to invite me.
I saw your face on Facebook and I knew of you. And I had seen videos of you. I think I've seen you at a few jiu-jitsu events in Montreal and the surrounding areas. And then actually how it really clicked and how I was like, oh, I should have her in is when your school changed names and then you were kind of became the poster girl of Mile End Jiu Jitsu. And I was like, okay, something's going on here. I should have her in.
Well, yeah, I mean, these are all stuff that are all related into one goal. So I would say that to introduce myself, I'm Luciana. My background is in cinema. I did my studies at Concordia University in film production, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years, with Koji at the new Mile End, which was Revolution team before. I mean, it's still Revolution, but we just changed names.
The academy name is changed, but it's still the same.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, and then when I finished my master, I just decided that I wanted to really involve myself a lot more in jiu-jitsu. And then so I linked my two passions, which are cinema and jiu-jitsu, and tried to do something to help the community. And I saw a lot of opportunities in the ways that jiu-jitsu is such unknown sport still, and I wanted to try to promote it outside of the community, because each time I was telling people I'm doing jiu-jitsu, they really never knew what I was doing.
Right.
And also early on when I started jiu-jitsu, I was exposed, and I saw a lot of the way that the pro fighters and the instructors and everybody that has been really involved professionally in the sport. So I saw kind of the struggle and the fact that it's a really a hard life, and there was not a lot of business. And I think that this is mainly because the community is so unknown, so the sport is not really mainstream yet.
Right.
That's right.
And so I was like, oh, this is too bad, because I mean there is so much things that that sport can bring to people, and so I was like, maybe we should try to promote that. And so
that's how it started, basically.
Yeah.
And why did you choose cinema in school? I'm just curious. I'm always curious why people choose something in school. Is it because they didn't know what to do and they just
she had dreams of being a big Hollywood director?
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean it's and also because you do that too, right? You told me that you produce videos and you're in the media production.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it took me a while actually to decide that I wanted to do cinema. I tried so many things before and I was giving up on everything.
Okay.
So I started to study when I was actually 25 years old. So this is when I started the bachelor. But I was super lucky to get admitted to, this is one of the best schools in Canada for cinema. And I was always into art before, so I was... doing everything photography, I was like, you know, touching a lot of stuff, but I found in cinema that it was a complete way that I could join many forms of art into one thing. So because in cinema we have sound, we have emotions in images, and I guess like, yeah, I found that it was more complete to be able to translate I don't know, ideas, emotions, or whatever. Like everybody watches videos all the time, and
Yeah. Well,
but then maybe I didn't have like stuff to say, I guess, at that time.
Okay.
But I feel that now I have like,
you have messages
yeah,
that you want to relay.
Yes, exactly.
I guess when you're 25 too, it's like you can't have that much to talk about.
Not yet.
You know, because you don't have that much life experience at 25.
Yeah.
You haven't experienced that much stuff. So it's like, okay, great. Like I'm gonna film myself maybe every day talking about what type of thing. But now, how old are you now?
I was gonna say I would have thought you were like 25 now.
I was gonna say the
maximum.
same thing. Yeah. And I know exactly why that is.
Why?
Because she's a Latina.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
How
my
old are you?
wife.
How
like
old are you, Luciana?
No, I'm 35 now.
What?
That's crazy.
Oh my god! If
It's
you people
crazy.
could, I mean, if the YouTube video goes up, nobody's gonna believe it.
Oh, it will go up.
Yeah, they're
'cause-
not gonna believe it.
Yeah.
Looking at it. You look very young. It's great.
Yeah, no, it is a Latin thing
I
because
guess.
my wife's the same thing. My wife's from
Yeah,
Argentina.
my wife looks young too.
And they're it's all the same. Her mom, man, I don't want to get her age wrong again. She must be in her very late 50s, early 60s, and she looks like she's in her 40s.
Wow.
Like you just age so well.
Yeah.
It's something about the genes, like the Latin genes.
Yeah, but
or-
also jiu-jitsu keeps you young.
Oh, jiu-jitsu. I don't know about that. Look at Bryan.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
People usually
young
think
at heart. This is what I
People
wanted to
usually
say.
think I'm older than I am.
Yeah. It's because of the white beard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I gotta dye it soon.
Yeah.
I
well,
probably have a white beard. So, you know.
Speaking of content on your documentaries that you've done, I noticed one of them had something to do with autism awareness.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I mean, well, okay, so I need to start from the very beginning, I guess.
Go for
but
it. I like the very beginning.
no, but it's just that, like, in a way, when I started to do research in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I wanted to talk about the mental, physical benefits of the practice, and this is like, actually, autism is maybe like one of the part that you can use jiu-jitsu as a form of I wouldn't say the therapy, but just like to help with autism, and because okay, now
You think maybe it's because typically, I don't know a lot about autism, but I know it's something about communicating what they're thinking or what they're feeling. They have a problem with that, right?
Yes.
They have difficulty with that. So you think maybe jiu-jitsu helps them kind of communicate in a way that there's maybe a less of a, you know, an understanding problem, like that people don't have to understand as well, or literally, they don't have to understand literally what they're trying to communicate?
Yeah, sometimes they have like a struggle with the, I would say, how to contact like the others, and I don't really know how to explain it, but the thing is that, like, when I was in California, like, in general, the way I was doing my research is either like on my own, or I would read articles and stuff like that, and or just meeting people that really inspired me, and I decided to like shoot. Okay, so this is how it went with autism. Is my friend Jimmy, who's one of Koji's black belt. He has a gym, Checkmat Corona, in California. So when I was in California, I was training there, and his son has autism.
Okay.
And but he does jiu-jitsu, and yeah, Cindy, his wife, so she organized a class only for jiu-jitsu for autism. So there is like one of their blue belt is already a therapist, or like a student, like an
intern type of thing?
Yes.
Or- okay.
And so he took the class, and he directed in a certain way, so that but she wanted to create a community first for Alexander that has autism, so that he could you know, like, be, because sometimes it's hard for them to like follow all the class and do all of the exercise. Like, it needs to be more framed in a certain way. So I just like ask Cindy if she wanted to like testify and if I could film Alex and the story of how jiu-jitsu helped Alexander in his life. And so I filmed the classes, and I discovered that actually that was not the only like BJJ for autism class. Like, it wasn't the only place where there was a specific class for that. I think it's actually BTT, also a girl from BTT in California that has like a specific jiu-jitsu class for autistic kids. And it just like helps them, it challenges them, you know, as like jiu-jitsu challenges everybody. So for them, maybe like they're very scared to jump, they're very scared to be touched and stuff like that, but then they create a secure environment that will, you know, make them trust more. And since like it's also a playful moment, and you know, they will kind of dare doing stuff that they normally don't do. And the physical contacts and all that, like they slowly get more used to it. They see like
because they have sensory issues sometimes.
Yes,
I think.
exactly.
Okay.
And so from the testimonies of like the parents, they said that like it just improve the behavior of the kids in school or at home, you know, because they just like start to be more confident. And but it's, as I said, like it's not necessarily a therapy, but it has it has benefits on that side.
There's an organization, I think, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's called Adama.
Yeah, Adama is
right?
here.
It's here, right?
And it's but it's
it's karate, I think, that they do.
It's for all martial arts.
Oh, is
so
it? Okay.
And it's for how do you say that? Like adapt.
It's for like kids also with physical disabilities.
Exactly.
And so it's like everybody who's kind of, you know, has some type of disability, whether it be mental or physical disabilities. I think they cater to that type of clientele.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they will put them into like all sorts of classes of martial arts. So it's not only jiu-jitsu. It's definitely a project. I mean, there's a lot of room to explore on that, because I think that a lot of autistic kids and parents, like, they're looking for activities, and you know, jiu-jitsu is so complete. You know, it's like really triggering all of our senses at the same time, and the way you can do it is so personal. So
I think just the parents don't know. You know,
exactly.
Most parents don't know that jiu-jitsu exists. So to do that, I think, you know, we need to send representatives inside of these organizations that, you know, that are willing, and say, okay, well, we have a program that we can adapt to, you know, your kids, but you got to have someone to go through the door and kind of pitch jiu-jitsu, because they won't naturally come to us. I mean, some will, you know, some might, you know, hear through the grapevine that jiu-jitsu is good for you, and they'll end up in a jiu-jitsu school, but most kids won't. So it's like, how do you get jiu-jitsu to them, right?
Yeah.
You have to pitch it to them.
Well, there is actually already things in place. I mean, when we released that documentary, I invited someone from Autism Montreal to show the documentary and to make her discover jiu-jitsu. So she was, but then like, and I had that idea to actually like offer a program into Autism Montreal or Adama to reach these kids, so that we can offer the classes. On the other side, there is also Team 1, the Luciano.
Yeah.
He's like doing a fondation, so he's gonna go into schools for to promote jiu-jitsu, anti-bullying.
Yeah, he was on the podcast. Yeah,
Okay.
he was on the podcast, and he promoted his new organization.
Yes.
I saw the logo he just created too, and everything. So
yeah, and I think it's like a great thing, and this is not only for his school. I mean, obviously, like, he cannot just have all the kids from Montreal, but it's a good it's a good way to promote the sport and to go into schools and talk about jiu-jitsu and what jiu-jitsu can do for these kids. It's such a great sport, and it needs to be promoted.
yeah, how did you start jiu-jitsu? How did you find jiu-jitsu?
So from my background, I was always more into dancing.
Okay.
So I did like contemporary dancing, salsa, and classical ballet. And at that time, I had a boyfriend who was doing Muay Thai, and I was like, you know, thinking that Muay Thai was very violent and scary and all that. At some point, I gave it a try, and I remember that, you know, like in my first class, I received a punch in the face, and my reaction is like, you know, I was like, okay.
Was it your boyfriend that punched you?
No. Oh my God. And then I left. I went to the bathroom and I cried, because this is what it does. You know, it's like it goes straight into your ego, kind of. You're like, why do you want to do this to me? Like, why do you want to hurt me? But then I was like, okay, whatever. I went back and I trained like for 1.5 years, Muay Thai. But at some point I thought, I was like, you know, I didn't want to compete because, I don't know, like on the long term, I wasn't seeing really an evolution. So I didn't really know where I was going with that. But it made me discover martial arts. And then I was watching UFC, and at that time there was Ronda, like she was, you know,
arm barring everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you know, what does she do, like on the ground, like that thing? I could try. Like, there's no hitting, no, okay. So this is how I got into it. Like, so I had to search for it. You know, it was like not so unknown. And then I remember actually my gym, it was close from my place, so I would like really walk there like a lot of times, and I was seeing it through the windows, these people hugging on the ground, and I was just like, what are they doing? You know, it's like, what the hell? But then I started, and I didn't stop. Like, I got completely, like, you know, as like so many people, you know, I just like started to go every day, and that's it. And I was like, wow. At that time, it was even like, you know, a rough time, because that boyfriend, like, we broke up. And
damn that boyfriend.
You should never have punched her in the face.
I know.
Well, anyway, and then so that was a good time also to just you know, yeah, this is when I discovered like all the benefits of the sport,
like the therapy of jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, it makes you just not think about anything. You're in the present moment. You're like sweating, you're like doing all like these whatever, like you're playing around, and but you also have to like overcome so many situations, and it's just also endless all the time, and you think each time you're like, oh no, I'm never gonna do that, like this doesn't work. And at some point, oh,
you come back to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, wow. And then, you know, it's an amazing journey. I'm not like gonna say anything new to the people, but then, yeah, when I discovered that first, I was like, how come nobody knows about that? I discovered a community that was very rich and very communicative, but inside themselves.
Like a bubble. They were inside their own little bubble.
Exactly. Yeah. And I discovered the bubble and then I saw like, oh, everybody is having the same feelings as me. Everybody loves jiu-jitsu. And but then I was like, I had to search for it so much, kind of, you know. I had to make my own little research. So how come like nobody else's know? And then also I would train all the time, and all my friends were like, dude, what are you doing? And sometimes they see my bruises, and they always like think that
you're getting beat up by some guy.
Yes.
I have to make another boyfriend comment then. Oh my god, she's getting beat up by her boyfriend.
No, but they always see it, they see the violent part.
They think it's rough. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And for these reasons, it took a long time for a lot of my friends to try, and some of them did, and some of them are training now.
That's cool.
You know?
That's good. I was going to ask you just now, you know, out of all your friends, what percentage of them actually wanted to start it and try it, like, with you?
Well, I would say, like, a good example is my 4 good, like, close girlfriends.
Yeah.
And they all tried, and I had one that stayed for, like, 2 years. But then got a boyfriend, so you know, there is like so many situations, like, you know, the blue belt boyfriend.
Yeah.
And but I have another friend who is a blue belt, and no, now like she still trains, and the last one she tried, but you know, it wasn't for her. So
But it's amazing that you got your 4 friends to actually try it.
Yeah.
Because I have
girls.
Yeah, I have my
on top of it.
friends outside of jiu-jitsu, okay? And I have friends from jiu-jitsu that I made, in the jiu-jitsu community. And my friends that are outside of jiu-jitsu, I've known them for like 20 years or whatever, and maybe more. And they have no interest in trying it.
Same boat. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
my
They're
closest
all a bunch of
friends
fucking
outside,
pansies, like-
they won't even come try it.
Yeah,
Like they
they
won't
talk
even come
shit.
consider it.
They talk shit. Oh, yeah, well, that's, it's so gay. You're rolling around with men. Yeah, come and try it, buddy.
Yeah.
Come and try it.
I've had one lifelong friend. It's funny because you guys laughed at me one time because I call him my best friend because he's my best friend.
That's Alain. Alain laughs.
Yeah.
I say my best friend, and he's like, best friend.
Yeah.
What are you, 9?
So my best friend Will, who I grew up with, who is a little younger than me, I grew up in martial arts and doing karate and everything, and he never took an interest in even trying a class. Like, it just wasn't for him. You know what I mean? Like, he was very, like, he loved he was very, how do I put this? He was very creative. Is it creative
Okay.
I'm looking for? Like, he was very artsy. I have to say
Yeah.
he was very artsy.
Yeah.
I see.
But he could not get outside of that bubble, basically, to like do like the physical aspect of any type of punching or kicking. So karate was completely out. And then when I switched over to jiu-jitsu, I had invited to come and try a class, and there was just no interest there. And I think it's a personality thing.
But
you know
does
what I
he
mean?
do
Like,
any kind of other sports?
No.
Okay, but maybe this is also...
It's funny, eh? My closest friend from childhood is not that type of guy. Like, he's just not sporty.
Let me
He's
ask
never
you
done
something. Does Will like show tunes?
He does. I don't think so. He likes video games. He likes
okay.
video
That's
games.
That's a different thing.
Sure.
That's safe.
Yeah, it is safe. It is safe. There's that rage factor though, but yeah, it is safe. It was funny when you were talking about getting punched in the face and then going in the bathroom and crying. It made me think of a moment that I had at BTT when I did a Muay Thai class.
Oh, you punched me in the face and I went in the bathroom and cried?
No.
Just kidding.
I got punched in the
You're
face.
allowed.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can
He's
say it.
old. He's allowed to cry. It's fine. So I got punched in the face, and that day, like, I was going through a lot of crap. So my wife had just had a miscarriage. We had lost like our second baby, and that day I got punched in the face, and when I just got hit in the nose. Like, it wasn't like a hard punch.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't something that I wasn't bruised. I didn't feel it afterwards. But when I got hit there, I fell to the mat and I laid flat on the mat and I just cried.
Holy shit.
And it wasn't because of the punch. And I'm sure everyone who was there, like,
Yeah.
they don't know. I never spoke about this.
Yeah, of course.
They didn't know what was going on. They were like, well, Ray's a wuss. He's never got punched in the face, and we punched him. And then I laid on the mat maybe for 10 minutes, and my face flat on the mat, and I just cried. Poor Will. Will was there, and I never spoke to Will about it either. But it was just one of those days where it was just like everything in my life kind of was going on, and I got hit, and everything just came out
like a
on the mat, flat down, and I ended up getting up, and it was all close to the end of class, and then I just like kind of got my stuff and I left. And I think that's where kind of, if in jiu-jitsu I would have reacted in a different manner. I think maybe I could have turtled and cried. You know what I mean? Like, no one would have seen me cry in a turtle.
Yeah.
But in kickboxing, when someone punches you and you just
Yeah.
lay flat on the ground, and then it's not sweat falling on the mat.
Yeah.
It was my sad tears.
Wow.
But I find it like getting choked sometimes can also like make
Yes.
you release some kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Really?
I had a moment with that too. We had visitors down with this girl. I'm trying to remember her name. She's super nice. Her boyfriend trains at GB. He's a black belt at GB. Man, I can't believe I remember her name. She's also Asian. They just had a baby.
Oh, I know her.
You know who I'm talking about. She's short.
Yeah.
She just had a baby?
Yes.
Recently, not long
And
ago.
her boyfriend's
right?
a black belt at GB?
A black belt
It's
at
funny because
GB.
my cousin has
Oh,
just got his
maybe
black
not
belt
then.
at GB, and he just had a baby.
Really? And
But his girlfriend's not Asian, I don't think.
No, I
she's
ran into
Brazilian.
them at a VSME.
Sarah.
Sarah Kong.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah Kong.
I
I was
don't wanna
like,
say
Kate,
Sarah,
it's
Sarah.
okay, it's okay. But I'm like, no. Okay,
Sarah. So Sarah, I'm calling her out saying that she cried, but what happened was she came to a class with her boyfriend at BTT, and they did a class. They were just coming just to kind of roll with different people, I think, or whatever. And I ended up rolling with her. This was obviously before she was pregnant. I didn't roll with a pregnant lady. I made her cry, but we ended up rolling. and I ended up choking her, and she got emotional and she cried. And afterwards, I wasn't like we didn't. I hugged her. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm sorry, was it me? Like, did I choke you too hard and this and that? Like, I felt bad. And she's like, no, it's okay and this and that. And right away, it brought me back to that time where I was laying flat on the mat. I was like, she's probably going through something today.
Sure.
She's probably having a bad day. You know what I mean? So like, jiu-jitsu brought it out in her. It wasn't me choking her that made her cry. It was just everything kind of like put together. But I think that kind of brought everything together for her. I'm sure she went home and she reflected on it, and maybe it helped her. Maybe she needed to let that go, and that was the moment it needed to come out.
What belt is she?
I want to say she's a blue or purple. She's either a blue or purple. She's a super nice person.
There's got to be people out there too. Now, you just said that you kind of get that sometimes when you get choked. Is that what you were saying? You get kind of flustered, or
no? But it never happened to me.
You mean it's to release an emotion?
But I know how like it could happen, and I actually happened to. No, for me it happened that I choked somebody that cried. Like I think it happened to me twice, but.
You're so mean.
No, but I knew like the same thing as you. I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But I know that that feeling sometimes, like even when you practice jokes, I don't know, for me I find that it's just you feel that you could cry.
I don't know, maybe it's a per person thing. Like maybe some people just have, that's almost like claustrophobia, where they get nervous when they're starting to get choked, maybe,
or they get emotional.
Yeah, and they get emotional because
have you ever had any type of feeling like that?
Never. I've been close. I've had the walls closing in sometimes, buddy, and then tap at the last second, and if it was another second, I would have been out.
No, but you actually need to like. It's when you're on a bad day. Like this is exactly
a bad day.
Yeah, like an emotional bad day.
Exactly.
But you see, maybe I'm lucky because I was talking about this the other day with somebody, and I was saying, for me, when I go there, I completely forget about everything else. And I know that's kind of a cliche, but I really do forget about it. Now, maybe it's because I'm dumb and I just forgot about all the bills and everything and the arguments and whatever and the problems at home. But what I like the most about being a jiu-jitsu is because it just doesn't exist while I'm there. For an hour and a half, it just doesn't exist. I
don't know you as an emotional person either.
No, I am an emotional guy. But it doesn't mean I'm emotional. It means I'm going to cry very easily. It means I get very passionate about things and expressive and like that's the kind of emotion I am. Like I'm an emotional guy from one extreme to the other. I could be in a super great mood, but if somebody sets me off, I'll fucking lose it like in a second, like short fuse kind of thing.
So you're bipolar is what you're
Probably. Probably.
I was talking about this actually with my wife today. Who were we talking to? Oh yeah, so my daughter, who's 11, she asked what bipolar was because I don't know how it came up. Anyways, it came up. She's like, what's bipolar? So we explained to her what bipolar was, and she's like, yeah, your father's bipolar. I was like, I'm not bipolar. She's like, did you ever know anyone who was bipolar? And I was like, yeah, when I was a camp counselor. I was a camp counselor at a Christian camp.
Holy shit. That explains a lot.
Yeah, it does, eh? I went to a Christian... So, as an adult, I wanted to go to camp and experience what camp was because my parents never sent me to camp. We went camping, but they never sent me to like activities with kids. I never did organized activities. I never did sports. The only thing I did was karate. And karate at the time was you go to class, you stand in line, you punch and you kick, and you listen to your instructor, and then you go home. There was no socializing or very little socializing and stuff like that with the other students. So I never did basketball or hockey. I never did organized sports until I was an adult. So what happened, because my parents kind of kept me away from all that, because we were camping and we were doing family things, when I got older, I turned 18 and I moved out. I was like, I'm doing every sport known to mankind. I'm doing hockey. I'm doing basketball. I figure skated for 2 years. I still have my figure skates down here. There is video. You'll never see it. I'll never post it. It will never go online. I did my first test in figure skating, my first dance and everything. I went all in. I was like, it was like I was very competitive as a kid, but because I had no way but karate to let it out, that when I became an adult, I was like, I want to do everything. I have my own money. I can do hockey. I can do basketball. I could do soccer. I could do all this stuff. So I only tried organized sports when I was an adult, and that's when I knew I had I was very competitive, and there was something in me that like it probably should have been let out when I was a kid, type of thing, right?
That's amazing, though. Like, You didn't wanted to like try all the drugs. You just wanted to try all the sports.
Well, there was a moment. There was a time for
Bit of that.
Yeah. No, but it wasn't like any of the hard stuff. Like I went through a period when I was like a big pothead for like 3 years, and I got a job working at Couche-Tard. So what I did, so for people that don't know, Couche-Tard is like your corner store. Or your convenience store, right?
Max Milk for anybody from
there you go.
the rest of Canada.
Yeah.
Or 7-Eleven.
Or 7-Eleven or stuff like that. So I remember I moved out on my own. I got a job at the convenience store, but they could only give me the overnight shift. So I work 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. But at the time, at the Couche-Tard, which is the convenience store in Quebec, we made our own pastries. So Couche-Tard would make their own pastry. So we would have to use the oven and make the croissants and all the
muffins.
Yeah, all that stuff. So at the time I was a pothead. So what I would do is I would smoke a lot of weed, and then I would make pastries, but eat half of them. And then I would put whatever I had left inside of the containers. And they never asked me. Like, they never said, like, Ray, like we can't account for half of the pastries being gone. No one ever says. So I worked there for maybe about a year and a half, and no one ever asked me a question.
I think they let it go because they needed somebody to work the graveyard shift.
They need someone to work. Yeah, because it's hard to find someone to work 11 to 7 that was reliable. Because I was there every night. Because I knew that pastries were waiting for me.
Right. That sounds like an amazing job.
It was pretty good.
Did you gain any weight?
I was very skinny growing up, so I know I didn't gain any weight. But I remember the hardest thing about working overnight, which you and I recently spoke about, was going to sleep in the morning. You know, like finishing your shift and then getting home, and the last thing I wanted to do when the sun was out was go to bed. Like, I just wanted to stay up. I wanted to hang out with my friends, and I wanted to, and it's something. When I say I wanted to hang out with my friends during the day, that means my friends were also stoners and didn't go to school or have jobs because they were home during the day, right? Yeah. So I wanted to just stay awake. So I would go to bed at maybe like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I would sleep maybe 5-6 hours and get back up, and then I would just hang out, and then I would go work at Couche-Tard again. It's not healthy.
No.
It's not at all. Thank God I was young and it didn't last long.
Right.
But when we spoke about this week, people who do that long term, I don't understand. I have a lot of respect for people that do that, but I think it takes something from you.
I think the people that can actually last there a long time, they're outliers. Like, there is a certain small percentage. I don't remember what the percentage is. It's probably like 5% or whatever, maybe a bit more. I'm not sure. That their bodies can actually function that way. Like, for the most part, our bodies are, that's the way our biological clocks are. We have to sleep at night, and we're not nocturnal. So we sleep at night, we work in the day, or we play in the day, or whatever.
I've been reading a really good book. It's called How We Sleep.
Okay.
I think it's How We Sleep. And my wife already knows she's a genius. I was like, hey, have you ever heard of is it the Caribbean? I think it's called the Caribbean cycle. It's like your body will automatically tell you like when to go to sleep.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it knows that when the sun comes up in the morning, your body will wake up, and there's a chemical that basically runs out and basically tells your brain it's time to wake up now. And then your body will tell you, the sun goes down, and after a certain amount of time, we'll go to sleep. So like your body knows that it needs to do that rotation. And in the book, they talk about there's these two scientists that ended up going into a cave. So they went into a deep cave, and they wanted to see if their system, what would happen to their body if they went in deep in the cave and there was no sunlight and they lived in darkness. Would their body tell them you need to go to sleep, type of thing? And their body actually adapted, and they didn't have a pattern. At the beginning, their body was saying, okay, it's time to go to bed. So they would actually fall asleep at the right time, even though they didn't see the sun go down, but their body would tell them it's time to go to sleep, and they would just fall asleep. Circadian. There you go. It's circadian.
It sounds like a nightmare, though.
Yeah, the book is really good, actually, because the book actually, the preface of the book tells you that if you fall asleep while reading this book, then I know that I wrote this book well. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point. I want you to fall asleep because sleep is healthy for you. You know what I mean? How many hours of sleep do you get per night? I'm curious.
Not as much as I should. I know that we're supposed to get 7 hours. That's 7 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
Apparently is the optimal.
And you don't do
it's
that?
detrimental if you don't get 7. Like even if you get 6, there's a huge difference apparently. So, but I'll get, sometimes I do, but a lot of times I don't.
No.
I can't, especially if I have a really busy day. If I have a really busy day and I get home later and I got stuff to do at home, and then by the time I can actually get into having fun, like, you know, watching a movie or going online and searching for stuff that's fun, whatever, it's, let's say 9 o'clock. I'm like, fuck, I missed the whole day. I didn't do anything I wanted to do. I've just been so busy from the time I got up until now. Now I'm only starting getting my shit done. That's when I find that I'm up until 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's almost like, I got to do something fun today. I feel like it was a complete waste of a day, so I end up staying up late.
Do you get a lot of sleep?
If no, not enough.
No.
I try to, and I have like sleeping problems most of the
Do you
time.
work? What do
Yes,
you do?
right now.
I know I was a little direct, so I was like, do you work or are you a deadbeat? And do you stay at home like me? Because in the wintertime, I stay at home. I don't work in the wintertime.
Oh.
I only work in the summer. So in the wintertime, I'm basically like, I do renovations in the basement and yeah, not all day. Partial.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I came back from traveling, I was still doing a lot of video. I still do a lot of video gigs and train, but right now I'm working at a warehouse at the Frank and Oak. I just I mean that's kind of a warehouse.
Where?
It's kind of a personal choice because when I came back, I didn't want to go back to because I was working in an office for like 8 years during my studies, and
what were you doing?
I was doing accounting.
Okay.
and a lot of other little things. It was at a wine company, and so yeah, I could also access like, you know, better paid jobs right now with like my studies and stuff, but I chose to do that because I needed to be a bit away from the computer and I don't know, like, yeah, just working with my hands, and I can yeah, it's a moment for me now, but eventually, I mean, now I also started to teach at the school, and I mean, for me, my goal eventually is really just be working in jiu-jitsu or videos, but videos related to jiu-jitsu. Like, yeah. Okay. So ultimately, this is the goal, and for now, yeah, this is.
What warehouse did you say you worked at?
Frank and Oak. It's a Canadian company for clothing. Frank and Oak.
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 Frank and Oak. You said it. That's amazing. Say it
do
again.
Need,
Frank
like,
and Oak.
I can get you 50% if you
Oh,
sweet. Okay.
That's why Bryan wanted to know.
Clothes?
See,
Clothing?
you're so sneaky. Where do you work? Where do you work? That's why you asked her 3 times.
Well, no, she said the words Frank and Oak, and I didn't know what she said.
If you tell him that, he's gonna show up like next week. He's gonna show up on Monday. What today? Sunday.
I got a coupon.
Tomorrow you'll be at the front door of Frank and Oak. Hello.
Right. Luciana gave me a coupon.
Where did you travel? I'm curious on your travels.
So when I started so when I finished my master, I decided to leave. I went.
How old were you when you finished your master's?
I was like last year, 2 years ago. I don't remember. Yeah, 2 years ago. So I was
32, 33.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So yeah, I decided to go to Tokyo. I have one of my best friends that lives there, and I had trained at Carpe Diem Jiu Jitsu when I visited. So I decided to go there. I was told that I could have had like a teaching opportunity for Jiu Jitsu. So I was like, okay, cool. I just left everything, rented my place, and moved to Tokyo. But then it didn't happen, the teaching gig. But my plan B was to start the documentary project. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start researching, and I started shooting, and then I didn't stop. Like, I stayed there for 3 months, and I was training at Carpe Diem. And after that, I came back a little bit here, and I went to California. I have family there, so I'm lucky. And
I have family there too.
Yeah. I mean, I really love California. So I was there training at Conde Coma, which is from Checkmat as well, with Chris Gutierrez. And I was training there because Jimmy introduced me to them. And this is where I met Rhett, DJ Rhythmatic.
Wow.
that just happened to train there, and at that time I didn't have a car, so I asked him for a ride, and then we talk in the car, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing this and that. Like, he's like a really famous DJ, like
I have
amazing
no idea
career.
who this guy is. Do you have
I just
any
know the
idea?
name. No, I just saw it now when I looked up her video. So I'm an expert now.
I thought you knew exactly who he was. You were like, yeah,
I don't want to
know
interrupt
him.
her. You know, she's on a roll. Come on, just pretend you know who it is. Yeah, of course, DJ Rhett. We go way back.
DJ Rhythmatic, yeah, he's
Really?
like part of one of the first turntable group in the 90s, like, you know, scratching,
Oh, yeah?
like
Oh,
these
yeah?
things. And he was DJing for Cypress Hill, like,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
he's, yeah.
I was
and
a
they
huge
have,
Cypress Hill fan. Oh my god, that's all I listened to back then.
Hits from the bong.
Oh yeah, no, before that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
and and he has a school, a DJ school for scratching, and so yeah, and he does jiu-jitsu. He started when he was like late 40s, and yeah, and the fact that for me, I wanted to find people that could show that everybody can do jiu-jitsu, you know. There's like a lot of media that is produced in jiu-jitsu, but it's focused on the fighters.
On the high level guys.
Yeah, exactly.
especially like Stuart Cooper or whatever. It's all the high level guys.
His videos are amazing, though.
Yeah,
I
they
have
are,
to
for
say,
sure.
his
Yeah.
videos are amazing, and all the videos that I've been trying to do, I have so much footage of just everything related to jiu-jitsu, and my goal is to, in the next 2 months, to try to release and try to really combine everything together. But he was
I didn't know you
really,
were doing that.
yeah, he's a really big inspiration for me. The stuff, the way that he kind of went about it, I really liked it, and I'm trying to kind of follow that.
We should
that
talk about
grind.
this after.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been wanting. I used to dabble also in the film thing when I was probably 15 years ago, maybe. Yeah, about 30.
You were 30,
I was about 30.
so like
15
40 years ago, 45 years ago.
about 15 years ago. I was 30, 31. I remember how old I was, but
Okay.
maybe not quite 15. Yeah, about 15 years ago. And we started, you know, shooting short films and whatnot. And I was partnering up with a guy who was a film student, and he wanted to be a DP. So he had a lot of equipment. His family had money, so they could afford, like, he had lighting systems and cameras and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
It was great. So I was more of the writer guy and the director. I could bring out the best of people, you know, on the set, whatever. And so we started doing that kind of thing. And then it just kind of, it flushed out because one of my good friends back then, so big mistake, you might have already gone through this. Don't involve your fucking family and your friends when it comes to filming something. Just, you're better off asking strangers to do it that want to be actors, that are studying it or whatever, that are probably okay, and you don't know them. They'll do it for free or they'll do it for lunch, you know, that kind of thing. But as soon as you involve friends and stuff like that, man, everything kind of goes,
It gets complicated.
fucking belly up. So I lost this friend because, no, I'm serious. We never
sucks.
spoke again because
man.
the prick didn't show up 3 times. I got
Oh.
not a huge crew. We're like maybe 8 people, but we're 8 people, including the 2 or 3 actors that had to be in the scene on a corner in Park X or whatever where we were filming, and the guy wouldn't show up. And we all did that for nothing, and then I would have to buy everybody lunch, and then everybody would go home, and it was a complete waste. Next weekend, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I'll be there again, and he wouldn't show up again. And the last time, I must have called him like 50 times. I wouldn't stop. I said, I'm not going to stop until he answers the phone because he's not showing up again.
But I cannot believe that you went on to a third time.
Yeah, I know. So, but I was desperate to
Oh my
finish.
God.
I was desperate to finish. I wanted to
because
complete it.
You started the shooting already.
Yes. There was 2 scenes left. And the guy had to be in them.
Oh my God.
That
Tell me
sucks.
who it is. I'm going to block him.
It's funny that you say that, which is a totally other topic. But my neighbor, I was talking to my neighbor today, and they're redoing the stairs going down to their basement. So I saw a renovation truck in front of their house for the past week. So I'd bring I have a 1-year-old, and I would bring him to daycare in the morning, and the renovation truck would already be there. So it's like 7:30 in the morning, and the renovation truck's there. So I was like, oh, I guess he decided not to do it. We're pretty close with our neighbors. They're super nice people. They're from Argentina too, and the wife is from Argentina, and the husband is Greek. So he's an asshole. And
So racist.
no, he's super nice. And so today I went to talk to him. I was like, how are the renovations going? I know you guys are just, have the guys coming in and redoing your stairs. He's like, he's been my friend forever, and he's an asshole. I'm never talking to him ever again. He's like, I knew him, so I asked him to come in to redo it. And basically, we're $600 over budget. and the guy's still not done. It's only supposed to take 2 days, and it's been a week, and the stairs still aren't done. And he's like, it's just a load of problems. I'm never going to talk to the guy ever again. I told him to come and take his tools and go home. It's crazy, eh? So I think there's certain things that you can ask your friends for.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have realistic expectations that if things go sour or things go bad, you need to be able to emotionally accept that. And either decide, well, if things go bad, I still love them. They're still going to be my friends. Or like, I should have never asked them to do this in the first place, so it's my bad type of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I learned a lesson. And we never spoke again after that either. 15 years, we haven't spoken. 20 years.
But this is not a thing to do, though. Like, it's really bad. You were doing, like, a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you
and
lost
Us,
money.
And it was because of a girl, too.
Well, that's okay then. No, I'm just kidding.
Bro, sorry, I won't say that. Anyway.
Even worse.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so all that to say is, so I love that kind of thing. So what I would do after that, I would just do little fun projects that I could do on my own. So I would make like music videos or whatever.
Okay.
So I'd take footage that I have of the kids, and I made a little, some cool pop song, and I put the kids' videos in or whatever. Or so the other one I was thinking of was I'd like to do like some kind of metal song or something that I really like, and have jiu-jitsu footage about
Okay, so we'll definitely talk.
Yeah, for sure. It's so fun.
That's cool. Did you take footage when you were in Tokyo? Like, did you keep any
Why? Do you need footage?
No, but I'm really interested on jiu-jitsu in Tokyo, just because I know very little about it.
Because you need to watch the documentary.
Yeah, there's one of them that's
Yeah.
Seize the Day. Yeah.
So I chose,
Carpe Diem. That's
I went through your channel too. I didn't
Seize the
watch
Day.
every video. Obviously, the one I didn't watch is that one.
Yeah.
I think
in
on the
Tokyo.
thumbnail there's a geisha, I think, right?
It's not a geisha.
No?
It's like my main character.
Okay.
Well, the subject of the...
Is it long? How long is it?
It's 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
All of them are
It's much
around
enough
that time, and she's a trainer and a model, and also she trains jiu-jitsu. She's a blue belt at Carpe Diem, and she became my friend. The documentary is about her and the way that she like make jiu-jitsu fit into her life, because as I said, like I wanted to. There was a lot of focus on the pro scene, pro fighters, etc. But for me, I wanted to do to actually talk about the lifestyle. So everything that I'm doing is more towards the lifestyle and promoting it, instead of like, because
instead of one person, one key person.
Well,
right?
it's just because I want to try to change this image of that comes from the MMA side, because jiu-jitsu, I mean, is the way that it was the way that it got known is through MMA in a sense. It's like,
of course, UFC 1.
Exactly. It's so efficient, and so this is a way that they were able to show that this martial art is so strong. It's because it worked in MMA, and so the fact that it comes from that culture, it's not a bad thing, but through the years, like, this is how it's, it doesn't bloom, it doesn't go out of that community. So people that know jiu-jitsu are usually the people that know MMA, UFC.
It's true.
And the fans are like mostly, like men and or
men. It's basically men. No, you're right.
And people that are interested in martial art. So I'm like, how do I reach the other people? And I need to like just change the image of it and show it in another way.
You know what? It's a beautiful sentiment, but I don't think it's ever going to happen, just because
I'm going to get some more.
Some people are...
Do you want something to drink? I noticed you finished your water.
Whatever. Sparkling stuff.
Sparkling stuff?
You got something?
Yeah, I'll get you a glass.
Just give me whatever, one of those Canada Dries, I guess. So the... that population, they're the same people that are not interested in karate or taekwondo or other martial arts. So it's not that jiu-jitsu has a special thing that people are afraid of or, unknowing of. Yeah, there's a small population, but the people that don't know of jiu-jitsu, you have a better chance of getting people that are in traditional martial arts and bringing them over to jiu-jitsu. There's so many people like that. Ray is one of them. Mark. There's tons of people in jiu-jitsu that already black belts in karate or taekwondo or whatever. It's easy to bring them over because they have an interest in martial arts. But the people that are not, like you said, they don't know about it, or they're not afraid, but it's just an unknown thing to them. All martial arts are unknown to them. They have no interest in doing any martial arts. So I think it has to be part of a person. Now there's a population also of, like we all know, like a lot of nerds, right, get into jiu-jitsu for some reason because the whole, it's like a chess match. It's it's a thinker's game. There's a lot of that side on it too, so a lot of these nerdy guys, and of course the sport was, kind of conceived to be a small guy against a larger opponent. So the nerds kind of gravitate to that, thinking that there's a chance for them to be able to defend themselves against a bully or whatever, So, but I think that's all minor. I think.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, like,
where the real growth is going to be. Sorry to cut you off, Luciana. I think the real growth is going to be in today's generation of children, because 10 years ago there was no kids in jiu-jitsu.
That's true.
Right? Now, there's fucking tons of kids in jiu-jitsu. So in 10 years, I have a 10-year-old son who is a orange belt in jiu-jitsu, okay? And I have a 22-year-old son who's a brown belt. My 10-year-old sons, that generation of the class, in Fred's class, is like, let's say, in any given day, there's 30 kids in his class now, 25, 30 kids in his class. In 10 years, they're going to be all killers.
They're going to destroy jiu-jitsu.
Oh, fuck, it's crazy. That's where you're going to see a huge influx of jiu-jitsu practitioners, is when this generation gets a little bit older.
Well, I mean, I think that everything that you said is true, of course, but I mean, why is jiu-jitsu I think that has more to offer than maybe a regular training of judo or karate or whatever, taekwondo.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, and then what I discovered just now, because I started the introduction to jiu-jitsu classes, and I noticed that there was these people that were curious about jiu-jitsu, but were just kind of unsure or not, like you're curious about something, but you don't
want to commit 100%.
You're not going to go try because It's just not. And then all of a sudden they see, introduction to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like, I have an opportunity now to try.
Sure.
The people in my class, I have like 15 people now. And I'm like amazed because they're like actually eager to learn, and they're like, they're a bit these nerds that you talked about.
I love those people. Though.
Professionals, and like they are searching for something a bit edgy, would say, and they see like the jiu-jitsu, it's a bit unknown, but they're like super curious about it. And after the first classes, like they have tons of questions, and like they're like, I don't know, and I received like an amazing message after. Maybe I can read it to you guys, but
read it now.
It's on my phone.
Luciana.
Can you pass me my phone there?
Read it now. You can't say you have an amazing message and then not read it
Look
right
at this
away.
iPhone 4? Is that an iPhone 4? 5?
Yeah, it doesn't
4?
even have
That's
data.
considered a relic now.
Yeah.
I don't even have like a working phone number.
Do you need my Wi-Fi by any chance?
At some point I will.
All right, I'll give you my Wi-Fi. It's Sexy Bryan.
What?
The password of my Wi-Fi is Sexy Bryan.
Sexy Bryan? Oh, of course
Sexy Bryan.
So I have that message from a student after the class. So he says, thank you for the class today. I walked home down Saint-Viateur on a sort of euphoric high afterward, with my surroundings glowing and much brighter than usual. It didn't last long, but I haven't had such a deep feeling or sensation like that since. I don't remember when, I don't know what chemical the jiu-jitsu triggered, but I forgot I had it. Lol.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's fancy.
But it's kind of,
It's one of two things. I've gotten those messages before. It's one of two things. He either loves jiu-jitsu and he really had a great experience and he loves it, or he really likes his instructor. It's one or the other. Either way, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, as I started teaching also in Brossard, so I'm teaching on the South Shore, and I've been getting text messages and Facebook messages from students saying, hey, that was a really great class. Like, it was super good. I love the sweep that you taught, or this and that. And I know what you feel when you get those messages, and it just like, it gives value to what you're doing. It
Yes.
gives meaning to what you're doing.
Exactly.
Instead of just showing up, teaching a class. Even though showing up, teaching class, and going home, like, you know, you gave something and you know they enjoyed it, but receiving those little things makes so much of a difference.
But this is it. Like, now I feel a lot closer to the purpose that I'm trying to serve, because with the videos, and let's say, like, for instance, the documentary I shot with DJ Rhythmatic, for me, that was like a great opportunity to showcase that, you know, jiu-jitsu is for everybody, whatever, like, age, gender, whatever. But then I was like, I put this out there, not only jiu-jitsu people are gonna watch it, also all the fans of DJ Rhythmatic, people in music,
That's true.
people in music, whatever, like, they will see their artist who does maybe it's gonna
Inspire them to maybe
exactly,
go do a
to
class.
try.
Or,
So that was the goal, essentially, with all the documentaries I made, is like to kind of reach, put like two other different fields and link them together.
Yeah.
So make connections in between these field of interest. But then I don't have necessarily like a direct result from it. I don't know who's watching. You know, I had like some comments from mainly the BJJ people. And so, yeah, I don't know if that like influenced some maybe girls in Japan, you know.
you can't think about
like,
it.
You know,
My only advice, you can't think about it. My YouTube following is a big fat 0. But the podcast following is a whole different story. People will listen on iTunes, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and all those other things. And at the beginning, I was really into it. Every time I release an episode, I would go check how many people viewed it and this and that. And I still do it from time to time. But honestly, I don't really think about it. I just do it because I know that some good has come out of it already. So it can only go up from here. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the same thing with your documentaries.
But in teaching, I mean, it's like so much more direct. And also, I have a way to kind of study these people, because in a way, like now with my class, I'm like, oh, these are the people that, you know, I'm trying to target with my videos. And so then there is more of them. There's not only 15. Like, there's so many more. So how do I like reach for them and pitch them like what jiu-jitsu can do for them? And so this is how like I don't know, I see like a way to promote the sport outside of these communities that you mentioned. I mean, of course, the kids are gonna like make the jiu-jitsu grow. Of course, how to pick people from other martial arts is also like a good way. I think I saw Gordon mentioning, because I know that he's putting efforts into making jiu-jitsu more mainstream.
Who's this, Gordon Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You were like
then-
Gordon, I was like, do you
Which
know him
Gordon are we
personally?
talking about?
and he because he mentioned he wanted to like put on a show including wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I kind of saw it like a bit quick, but then I was like, this is good. I mean, these are like strategies that, you know, they will result in the long term and bring more business into the sport.
Yeah.
And because also what I noticed, I mean, we better like, and you know, the foundation and all that, these are all things that will benefit all the community, not only like just a school. And introduction to jiu-jitsu was first the idea of Val, that has a Mizu studio.
Okay.
And
Can you tell me a little, sorry
Yes.
to cut you off, Mizu Studio is open to everybody from every affiliation. The reason why I ask is because we have Brianna St. Marie, you know Brianna, who teaches there too. There's Ariana Dang, who was one of our first guests on the podcast, who I love.
I love her too.
And I love my wife. But Ariane Dang, I love Ariane Dang.
Loser.
I think she is an amazing person. And she has a new puppy with her boyfriend that I love also. And her boyfriend I love also, by the way. By the way, they're both great people. But I love Ariane Dang. I think she's an amazing person. But all these people...
Who is she again?
She is a purple belt and very active competitor, and she's at H2O.
Oh,
MMA.
yes. I
You know
remember
what I'm
that
talking about?
podcast. Yeah, okay.
So she's also teaching at Mizu, and I think the idea that they have there, that it's open to everyone in every affiliation and people can just go there and train, I find it really interesting. Do you spend a lot of time at Mizu?
I did when I came back from Japan, and because Val that has Mizu,
She's the owner?
he's the owner. Val,
He's a
yes,
guy.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was a girl.
I have no idea what this place is.
I watched your video though. So that guy that's in the Mizu video, he has a shaved head. That's Val.
That's Val.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So Val is one of he's coming from my school. From Koji. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So he started his independent studio I would say 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3, yeah. Because he switched location after. And I was in Japan at that time, and I was seeing a bit like on social media. I was like, I didn't really know what was happening. I came back, and at that time I was like still I needed to practice I was a bit insecure with my video stuff. So I was like, and Val told me, oh yeah, he wants to do the open mat for everybody, and he wants to gather like a good competition team, and I'm like, oh well, let's make a video about it. And he said yes, let's do this. So I remember I went with Pierre-Olivier Leclerc.
Leclerc.
And
yeah.
We decided to call all our friends and organize the open mat that I shot, and then I did an interview with Val, and I also organized a little promotion for his introduction to jiu-jitsu. Well, he calls it the beginner's class, I think, or beginner program. And I just built all of these little videos. There was Oliver also that at that time he was injured. So
Taza?
Yeah. And he...
I love how you're saying everyone by their first name.
Because they're my friends.
Even Gordon Ryan, and I'm like,
Gordon.
Ryan, right?
I know these people, personally, so so this is why I call them like that. But so he was injured at that time, and he was teaching. So I also made a video about that. And at that time, when we gathered everybody for the open mat, I remember calling everybody. I used to cross train like a lot since I started jiu-jitsu, because when you're a girl, like sometimes you're lacking a bit of training partners. Mm-hmm. And Ariane, she hosted the women open mat since the very beginning.
Yeah,
so I know her from the beginning.
She spoke about it in the
and her open
the
mats
podcast.
are epic. The pictures that I still see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was there just before coming here.
There you go.
So...
Sorry, hold on, just a little interjection. Did you see the picture that Fabio posted, or I should say Juliana posted from headquarters?
Amazing.
The women's open mat.
Amazing.
It was like 20, 25
I've had 2 glasses of
Yeah.
wine, so my hand starts doing this when I talk. When I get excited, I'm like, amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
let
good.
it go.
Yeah. But yes, they're the BTT women's open mat also, which was people from all over the place too.
Was it?
Was it?
I don't think it was.
Was it just BTT?
I think it was just BTT.
No, it's just BTT.
Yeah.
Really?
It's just to show like all the women now that are in BTT.
Because I saw a lineup of a lot of women, but I didn't look at all the geese.
Yeah, but there was people from the West Island. There was people from headquarters. I don't know if there was people from other affiliates also, but
and Ariane's doing the same thing, and she's open to anyone who's
Yeah,
willing
but
to
I
come
mean,
in.
she's been doing that for years
a long
now.
time,
Now
yeah.
it's been like at least 4 years that she every Sunday there's like a women open mat. So at that time, I just I call everybody I know, and everybody at that time was like, oh, but we can come. Like, is it okay because we're not Mizu or we're not like? I'm like, no, forget it. It's fine. Like, just come. And so we do this, and we post, and I don't know. It just like raised, and then it's like still to now every Wednesday there's like at least 40 people on the mat, like
That's cool.
and all like the competition guys also come from TriStar, and
this is at Mizu you're talking about.
yes,
Yeah.
every Wednesday. And since then also at that time, like Val didn't even know Ariane, or I mean people just met there, and then everything
relationships
happened.
were created.
Yes,
and,
Cool.
Exactly.
Are there Mizu students? Like they have
Yes,
people
yes.
dedicated
Oh,
to
yeah.
their club, right? Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say something because it's Mizu, Mizu, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a posting the other day for the SAU tournament that's happening in Hawkesbury, and it was at Mizu.
Yes. Mizu means water in Japanese.
I
by the
totally
way.
knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
I'm fluent. Ray's fluent in Japanese.
So and Val is the owner with Jenna, his wife, and the 2 daughters also are training.
That's cool.
And there is David like teaching Muay Thai. There is Oliver, he teaches when he comes here, and now like they have like guest teacher.
Yeah, it's really neat.
And it's kind of reproducing a bit of the idea of Studio 5 24/0.
Yes, that everyone's welcome all the time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they have also guests, and they had like the I think you can pay like $10 or $20, I think, to attend some of the special classes. I don't know what the price are. I
Oh, that's cool.
like talk
That's
about
okay.
prices now.
That's okay.
But
Val, it's $10 now if I'm coming. Not a cent more. I'm paying $10. Luciana said it was $10.
That's right.
10 to 20, but I'm choosing the lower one.
Just bill Luciana
Yeah.
if it's more.
Oh my god, no. But I mean, I'm just saying that because I know now, like, Brianna is teaching the women's class, and I was told that it was $10. So I was like, this is so cool. I really want to go, but I haven't, like, my schedule isn't fit. So
I'm telling you that if you're going to attend a class, Brianna St. Marie is at another level in women's jiu-jitsu.
No, I know.
Her jiu-jitsu is, they're getting to a point now where they're calling her guard the Brianna guard, right? When she lifts up her legs, when she closes closed guard, and she lifts up her legs, and she puts one of them over your shoulder, and locks it up, there's no getting out of it. Like, there's no leaving. It's, you're going to get submitted. You're going to get armbarred or triangled.
I haven't rolled with Brianna in a long time.
It's very unpleasant.
I remember because she started.
It's very unpleasant.
She started after I did, and I remember the exact moment that she surpassed me. I'm like, fuck. So I love rolling with her because I learn a lot. When I roll with her too, because she's better than I am. And I tell her, fuck, I have to use my weight. Try to use my weight against you. You're a woman, but I got to do it because otherwise you're going to kill me. So that's just a person who's just got some freaking talent, land that she was born with. And I mean, she has the same Marie gene. That's the same Marie gene, I'm sure.
Guys, I'm facing her on March 7th.
What?
Yes, I accepted a
You're doing a super fight?
Yeah, with her.
March 7th. Wait, don't. Okay. March 7th.
Podcast is over.
That's at the Mastermind.
Yes.
Oh shit, that's great.
I have a bunch.
My little guy is competing at that one.
I have a bunch of students. So I started teaching in Brassard like a month ago. It's called Académie d'Arts Martiaux Brassard. For people who don't speak French, it's Brassard Martial Arts Academy, and it's like basically on the south of Montreal. And there's a bunch of people that have been doing no gi for years, but they've never touched the gi. So so our first gi class was on Saturday, and a bunch of them who've been doing no gi forever decided that they wanted to do the gi and start getting an actual belt in jiu-jitsu and put on a gi with a white belt for the first time. It was super cool. But all these guys are doing, and girls are doing the competition at the Mastermind, so they're gonna do some no gi or whatever. But I know Fabio's been doing some super fights or announcing some super fights, so you're facing Brianna.
Well, yeah,
that's
because,
cool.
Well, I mean, she's my friend, huh? And then my coach, she's like, oh, do you want to fight Brianna? And my first, I mean, I didn't even think. I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I love her. Like, I want to, I mean, it's a, I want to give her a fight,
Yeah.
And then for me, like, I haven't competed in a while, but then I'm like, really, it's a great occasion for me to just try to be better, you know? And you learn so much more when you put yourself into these situations. And in a way, like, and then also I have absolutely nothing to lose. I can only like just try to give her a good fight. I know how good she is, and she's just been better even like since I said yes. But anyway, like,
no, but that's
I'm
great.
really happy about it. Like, and then just wanna try.
That's amazing. That's cool. That's
and
really
we're like
cool.
both. I mean, because at first we're like, oh my god, we're gonna fight, but like she really doesn't care. I don't care either. We're like, let's do this, girl.
She's so cool about it.
No, of course.
She's,
like she's. I mean, we love her.
When she competes, there's like a little switch that goes off. But her day to day, her too. She's very like laid back and very casual. And she's like her father. Her father was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's one of our instructors. And I have to say that he's the guy who's kind of my guy type of thing when it comes to teaching me jiu-jitsu. He spends time with me and he doesn't need to, and he's just like,
he's very giving. Mark gives a lot of his time, and
It's hard for me after 2 glasses of wine to talk about Mark St. Marie because he's
gonna start crying.
Yeah, I'm gonna start crying like I got punched in the nose type of thing. But he's that great. But I wish you the best luck against. I think that will be a great match against both of you. And I like what Fabio's doing with the super fights. It's not just having a tournament with a bunch of people paying money and registering this and that he's doing super fights at the same time where you're going to see great people doing great jiu-jitsu. And it's like everyone clears off of the mat and everyone gets to watch 2 people do jiu-jitsu. I think it's super cool. I think it's neat. Yeah.
I just want to go back to the film thing. Did you ever do or think about doing like corporate videos for jiu-jitsu academies or any martial arts academy for that matter?
What are you talking about, corporate videos?
I kind of did.
What do you mean?
Like commercials, like for the actual academy.
Well,
like let's say Fred wanted to make a video, or Fabio for
Mile End. You're talking about for Mile End.
No, for anybody. Why only Mile End?
Okay.
Well, I did
This thing's gonna
actually
fall,
already.
right?
Mizu, like I did.
Shut your face. She already did it. She already did it.
Yeah, and then I did a little bit for the academies where I was actually training.
His mic is officially falling. Let me fix this for him.
Whoa!
What is going on? What did you do to my mic? Yeah, I created these little grooves. Oh my god, you took off the mic. It's okay, I got it. You keep talking.
It's because you can't just play with it all the time.
Well, you touched it.
Yeah, my mother used to tell me that growing up all the time. Bryan, you can't just keep playing with it all the time, but you know.
There you go. You're fine.
Good.
Stop.
Let me just because it doesn't pivot this way or what?
Yeah, it does. No, it doesn't pivot. Oh yeah, I gotta loosen it.
Oh, okay. Okay, don't tighten it up.
Everything's under control.
It's good. We're good.
But yeah, in terms of making corporate videos, I mean, I did it, and sometimes I would maybe do it in certain circumstances. But my goal isn't at all doing corporate videos in jiu-jitsu. The reason why I produce these videos, and I'm actually still I'm doing the post-production for something I shot this summer with Francisco Randez, who's more of a local vedette. I don't know how to say that.
Star?
Like a star, yeah.
Celebrity,
yeah.
Okay.
And then because, as I said, I'm still trying to find ways to promote the sport through other kind of field of interest, and he's an actor and animator and model, and he does jiu-jitsu, and he's also a friend of mine with whom I was training.
What's his name?
Francisco Randez.
You said
so I shot with him this summer, and also with Karine Duquette. She's a world traveler, and she does a lot of gymnastic, and she's very interesting also. So when I will release this again, I'm trying to, this time it's gonna be in French, so I can have the people from here they will relate more and discover the lifestyle, again, I'm trying to promote the lifestyle. So with these are kind of the research I'm trying to do, and now even I'm feel so lucky to have that class for introduction to jiu-jitsu, because I get to study them even more closer, and see how I can reach these people in general.
Do you have any women in your intro to jiu-jitsu?
I have 2.
You have 2? That's okay. That counts. That's fine.
But how to get more women, etc. So with these, eventually I'm gonna be applying for grants and try to find money to produce a longer version of a documentary, a more elaborated episode with more than one character. Let's say maybe a 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe 3 episodes. I don't know. I'm still not really sure of the format. But and then also have it more worldwide. I never went to Brazil yet. There's so much jiu-jitsu there, and
I hear there's a really great guy that lives in Ilbazard. He has a podcast. He also teaches jiu-jitsu. Right? He's super charismatic. Yeah. He loves his wine. So you just gotta catch him on his wine days.
But he can't take a punch though. That's the only
problem. But he can't take a punch because he cries like a baby.
So but then why did you say that?
Oh, I have no idea.
I was just what I meant when I said corporate videos. I just mean a while back, when I was interested in making films and stuff. The short film thing I was doing was, you're a starving artist. You're doing the films, but you're not making any money off of it, whatever. But so in the meantime, because I had a really nice camera, I started doing wedding videos just to help pay for the equipment, help, pay me, in some way. So it wasn't the ultimate goal. It was just something that was on the sideline.
You
so
know
for
what?
you,
Oh yeah. Okay. Like, there's no money in jiu-jitsu for videos like this.
no, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
Honestly.
hold on a second. So Fred paid a guy to come to the academy,
Yeah.
and he filmed, did some footage, whatever, and he created a promotional video for his academy.
Yeah.
So that is money. Fred paid that person to make it.
But no, because I can get a lot more money if I do a corporate video for like any kind of other kind of institution that will
Well, of course you can.
pay for
Right,
my
yeah.
Of course you
like
can.
I've been making a lot more money outside of jiu-jitsu than
Oh, okay,
yeah.
doing that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
you are doing corporate videos and stuff then.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I
Ju-
have side gigs, but
Okay.
when
Just
it's
not related to
jiu-jitsu, like
jiu-jitsu,
when I
right.
charge for people jiu-jitsu, like they would never have the budget.
Yeah.
Like this is it. I mean, people think that making videos, whatever. Okay,
It's
just
just
try,
because-
just do it, and you'll see like how much work it is. You know.
One thing too I want to mention is that Fred has a few schools going, and he has a
He
budget.
didn't though when he made it.
Oh no.
No, he had just the West Island. That's
Because
it.
I was about to say he has a budget for that because he wants to promote it, this and that.
So I knew Fred when he had no budget.
No,
Okay?
I knew him when he had no budget too. I know, but most jiu-jitsu schools are in that boat, so I kind of understand where you're
Yeah.
coming
Oh,
from. You
I
know,
get
like
it.
they don't have a budget for like videos and promotion and this and that. Like,
The only
like-
reason why I brought it up is because when you ask an advertising firm that you want a video made for your jiu-jitsu school or for your karate school, whatever, they will not have the same impact on their video that they make that you would, because you're involved firsthand with the sport. So your interpretation of this video, of a corporate video for their academy, will be much better than a guy who's in a tie, at his desk,
Yes.
who makes videos for potato chips or whatever.
I could give the example of where I'm teaching now in Brossard. He said, well, what I want to do is I want to make a promotional video for the school for jiu-jitsu.
Hey,
The
an old
fact-
girl.
Yeah, there you go. So the fact that he wants to do a video for no-gi and gi, now that we're offering gi classes too, he's like, now that we have an affiliation with BTT and you're the instructor, I'd like to make a video so that way I could promote it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, do you have a guy for that? He's like, no, I do everything myself. But if you came walking through the door or someone said, hey, I know this girl who is a professional and she does jiu-jitsu, so she knows she'll be able to create something for you for X amount of dollars. I mean,
Yeah, social media, whatever, to 10-second, 15-second video, even
Maybe.
a couple $100, why not? Right?
Well, yeah, this is the thing, but most people don't have that couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Couple
I know what you
for
mean.
An established martial arts school, they have it. They just don't want to spend money.
But who has an established martial arts academy?
Well, you are working at one right now.
He has this thing going on, but I say but he has other things. It's not jiu-jitsu. He has his Muay Thai, he's got MMA fighters,
Yeah,
he's
but
got Kung Fu.
there's tons of those
he's
schools,
got-
man. You walk down, walk
Yeah.
around Montreal, Laval, whatever. You'll see, you
I've
could just
been-
literally walk right in.
Honestly, but this is the reason why, I'm trying to do again, this goal of promoting outside the community, get more practitioners, because we need to create a business, like a sustainable business that we will reach a point where a gym can afford, to pay promotion
Yes,
and
but
stuff like
you're
that.
talking about promoting the sport. Look at Karate Sportif, what they've done in the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they were new, but I had never heard of these guys before.
Have you heard
until
of
they hit
Karate
social
Sportif?
media. They're all over the place now. Vaudreuil, West Island, Montreal, they're everywhere. Laval.
So they're a karate club or karate-based club, but it's very commercial.
Yeah.
So if you go to your mailbox and you check your mail, there'll be a flyer
Yeah.
for Karate Sportif
Exactly, yeah.
and a type of thing. They'll be in the newspaper. There'll be this, but there's a budget behind them. You know what I mean? It's like a
Sure.
franchise. People
Yeah.
are paying for a franchise fee,
Yeah.
but jiu-jitsu isn't like that. You
No,
know
it's
what I
not.
mean?
No.
But the goal
It's
here is
not true.
promoting the sport. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So to promote the sport, you got to get the word out. And how do you get the word out today? Social media. So
Yeah.
I would be so happy if I saw just a random posting for different BJJ schools.
Well, I have
Hit my
them on my
newsfeed.
feed.
I don't have a lot. I mean,
You have to add more Brazilians on your friend
Okay.
requests.
when I spend time in Tokyo, I witnessed a really beautiful business model when I was there from who manages all the Carpe Diem gym, Yuki Ishikawa, and the way that he built because they're also, I don't know, yeah, they're like a franchise. Basically, they have many gyms that I think they have almost 5 in Tokyo, and they have one in Seoul. No, one in Singapore, and anyway, and they will open one in Seoul, but it's going great, and they don't necessarily rely on like a world champ to, like, you know, they
Right.
and they have like a really good base of good practitioners that, you know, they have the lifestyle, they have like classes for 60 years old plus.
Oh, that's
they
cool.
have like many, like, I don't know, the way, and they have a fighting team that actually works there, and they have work for like a big team of people. And I found that kind of very interesting in the way that they were promoting it. And I think it's a good example how to I don't know, like create the business. And I see that I think collaboration is also a key. Like, I know that from the jiu-jitsu is like very traditional, and well, I mean, but it's, so there's like still that kind of thing with teams, you know, and like competition, I would say, that for me, I find that at the opposite side, we would benefit of more collaborations.
But it's getting better.
Of course, yeah, this is what I see. Because, you know, for instance, I think that a big example of what's really bad for the sport is what happened in Quebec, coming from people that compete against each other with the local tournaments, and what ended up being, you know, like
a full ban on
yes,
jiu-jitsu
exactly.
in Quebec.
And this is like, everybody is suffering from this, and it's a disgrace, you know. It's like just people fighting like, oh my god, guys, like, I don't know, like this is actually something that just put everything slower. And yeah, so we don't want to do that anymore. Like, we need to collaborate, and it's not about like a competition or fear of like, oh, these are gonna steal my students. Like, why can't we just build you know, a community, and there will be work for everybody. You know, it's not about like stealing your students or whatever. No, like, there's so many that, you know, we need more gyms. This is what we need.
And that was the reason for the podcast, why I started the podcast in the first place, was to bring all the different schools together and start locally and bring everybody from every different school and have them come in and have a discussion and talk. Yeah, I'm a Brazilian top team student, but at the end of the day, we all do jiu-jitsu. So it doesn't mean that I can't talk to a 10th Planet guy or I can't talk to a West Island jiu-jitsu guy. We're all doing jiu-jitsu. And that was the reason why we started the podcast. It was a podcast for the everyday grappler, for the guy who goes in and does jiu-jitsu and doesn't really care about, he cares about where he trains and kind of who's his instructor. But at the end of the day, he can go train with somebody from another school and they'll still be friends at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's getting better over time. Mostly because of my podcast, but I think over time, jiu-jitsu is evolving, right? Not just the techniques of jiu-jitsu is evolving, but jiu-jitsu as a whole is evolving, and people are being a lot more sociable and acceptable to the fact that we can cross-train, and there won't be any bumping heads. Now, should someone like Brianna St. Marie be competing, or should she be cross-training against somebody in her exact same weight class at her belt level? Probably not. Because
what
she's a
mean?
world-class athlete, right?
I don't understand what she... Okay, wait, that...
So,
she
example,
doesn't want to
Brianna.
be like...
So, Brianna, who's a world-class competitor,
Yes.
should she be cross-training casually with somebody at her same belt level and her same weight?
We rode
Why
just
not?
last week.
Why shouldn't she?
Yeah, why not?
I see a problem there.
Why?
Again, and this is
what's
really
the problem?
against almost 99% of my values, but I'm saying that I can understand this point of view, is that if Brianna, example, I'm using Brianna example, it could be anybody. I feel
Could be me.
Yeah, it could be you. Yeah, exactly.
He wants him to...
World champion Bryan Viera is cross-training, and we'll just say Mizu for an example. And he's training against another purple belt at his level, at his weight class, that he knows that he's going to meet at Worlds 3 months down the road.
That maybe is different, but sure.
There's a conflict there, right? Because you know that you're training with somebody that you're going to meet at Worlds down the road, and because your principal sport is jiu-jitsu, and you're not just yes, it's fun and you're doing it casually.
Yeah, but there's more on the line.
But there's more on the line for.
I think it's that. No, I see it like I have a different perspective because I think that this is just like the culture of fear. You know, like the reason why you wouldn't want to train is because maybe like I don't know, she's gonna like find my game and maybe like she's gonna I don't know, like you know, and you shouldn't even think about these things because I'm like, you know what? I need Brianna. I need Brianna to be better. I need all my opponents and all my training partners are there like to help me become better. So no matter what happens, it's on me. So if I train like with her or anybody else, like I don't see how this could be wrong. I think it's just good because I don't know. Yeah, this is just like for me, it's a vision and like that fear approach of things. I just don't buy it.
So I have a question for you then. I will literally put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yes.
Right? Would you train with Brianna knowing that you have a super fight with her on March 7th?
This is what I told you. We did already.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we trained together.
Well, there you go.
And I was like, I told her, like, I can't wait for the fight to be over because then I would like to train with her even more.
Okay.
But the thing is that now I'm just not gonna push too much because my coach is gonna like just
yeah, he's gonna get angry.
What are you doing?
I was gonna say that the coaches are probably have more to say about it than the athletes do.
Yeah, exactly. But me and Brianna, like, we're pretty chill about it.
Right.
And I mean, because as I said that, and also like the okay, maybe like if I was a candidate to be a black belt world champion and her as well, maybe at that moment we wouldn't be training together, but we're purple belt. She knows like what I'm doing. I know what, like, I support her, she supports me. Like, we're doing this. I mean, we're gonna fight. Like, I'm super excited. And
I think also it's up to them because if anybody's going to lose, according to what you said about learning their techniques, their secrets, they're both exposing themselves to that, but they both agree to it.
Yes,
yeah, I already know, like, she has a terrific close guard. Like, I don't need to roll to see it. Like, I mean, I don't know. At a certain level, of course, but I even know, like, you know, pro fighters, black belt, world champ, and they're gonna, and they're friends, and sometimes they train together, and they know that they might face each other. But I mean, this is jiu-jitsu. Nobody's gonna die. Like, oh, it's so much pressure. Or will they? So much pressure and so much, like... But I think that this is also coming from the tradition, which is, you know, like, if you win titles, then you make your school look better on paper, and then everybody will want to train there. So it's like an image. But I think that the more and more, like, we go, I mean, I think, as I said, like, if the business is growing, then of course it's important, and everybody wants to win. I want to try to win for sure, but... I mean, at the end of the day,
jiu-jitsu's not going anywhere either.
I mean, the thing is also, like, you don't have, it's not like a boxing, you know, boxing there's a card, and, you know, you win, you have losses. Right. No, like, jiu-jitsu, everybody loses, everybody wins. Like, there's no such thing as...
That's a really interesting point, actually.
Undefeated jiu-jitsu fighter, like, I've never heard that.
Some people, I think, probably keep track of their own records, I'm sure.
Yeah, you keep track of your own, but if I were to, like, take a bunch of high-level jiu-jitsu guys... I'm not following, like, their jiu-jitsu record. You do so
like you do
many
for hockey and stuff like that. Yeah,
like, you do so many matches, and it's so up and down all the time.
Yeah, because you're learning.
Yeah.
So it's all about learning. And I mean, at the end, so then I shouldn't be, like, stressing out about... Yeah, I don't know.
Winning or losing.
I want to focus on what I can try to do at my best.
Right.
And that's it. The rest is, like...
It's like Keenan's fight. Did you watch Keenan's fight on the weekend? No?
Yesterday.
Yeah, you watched it? Thank you. So let's block out Bryan for a moment, and you and I will talk about this. So, yeah, he lost.
Yes, he did.
6-4, I think, right? It was 6-4.
And
he fought a young up-and-comer who it's his first fight at black belt.
What's his name?
Oh, it was his first fight at black belt?
His first fight at black belt.
Wow. Roberto Jimenez.
It's Jimenez. Thank you very much. See, I use the hand. See, you see, when I speak, especially when I speak Spanish, I start using the hand. I get really, like,
what's his name?
Talkative.
It's Roberto Jimenez.
Yeah, Jimenez. In Spanish, it's Jimenez.
But is it Roberto? I'm not even
Luciana can't even say Jimenez in Spanish properly.
Do you speak Spanish?
Yes, I do.
Of course she speaks Spanish.
Why?
She's, what's your nationality again?
I'm half Peruvian.
Thank you, Peruvian. Beautiful. Half Peruvian. And what? Half other what?
French Canadian.
But when
Okay.
you listen to her speak, she's obviously French Canadian primarily.
So
right?
let's go back to our conversation.
Well, French. Sorry, the language. French language is your first language?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's block out Bryan like we said we were going to do before and talk about the match yesterday. Yeah. So
I'll just chime in whenever I want to piss somebody off.
So yeah, he totally so young up and comer just got his black belt. His first match at black belt faces Keenan, right? Who left his club and started his own thing and lost. And
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. I have no. So I posted it. We have
I
like.
don't even know if it means
doesn't
anything.
mean-
I don't know if it
Fuck
means
off.
anything. It's funny.
It doesn't mean fuck all.
It's funny that you say
even like
that.
the
Sweet
Jimenez was like a bit shocked himself.
Yes.
Like he wasn't
Yes.
really believing in his.
So they've never fought before, right?
No.
So all of a sudden, two guys that come together that have a completely different skill set, but one has more experience, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be better than him that day.
Exactly.
Right? Stylistic,
true.
buddy. Maybe the next 5 fights, Keenan would win, but but sometimes it's style, right? You fought against people that you're like, I don't understand why I have such an easy time against that guy.
I am
and I
the
have
best.
such a hard time against that guy.
Yes.
Like, makes no sense.
No,
but it's stylistic.
I am the best there will ever be at jiu-jitsu. A brown belt will never beat me at jiu-jitsu.
Really?
I am that good at jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. That's never
He
gonna
needs another
happen.
glass of wine.
I need another glass of wine. Yeah, I'm fearing. I fear doing my first competition at brown
As a
belt.
brown belt?
So I have a bunch of students who signed up to the mastermind, which I'm going to be there and watch a super fight for sure, who signed up to do no-gi. And now I've been evaluating them to be like, hey, you need to sign up now at intermediate. You need to sign up at beginner based on how much time you've been training and whatnot. And I debated, do I sign up to the Mastermind Cup and coach at the same time? But I remembered Fred's golden rule that he has a golden rule where he either competes or coaches. It's one or the two.
Both.
It's very hard to do both on
Yeah.
the same day. So I'm going to coach that day. I'm not going to compete, but I have to say I have a fear of competing for the first time at brown belt because I know it's a
Fear's
whole other
good.
level. But it's
Fear's
not a bad
good.
thing.
Of course, fear's
So
good.
we'll
If
see.
you weren't afraid, you'd be an idiot.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No,
like,
you just need to break the ice.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, okay, I have two things to say. Like, this is gonna be my first fight as like for a purple belt.
That's okay. How long have you been a purple belt
Like
for?
a year.
That's okay. That's a lot longer than I've been a brown belt
Well,
for,
I
so
mean,
that's fine.
it's kind of funny. And then it's with Brianna. Wow. Like sometimes I should be sometimes
throw
more
your-
scared.
throw yourself
But-
in the pit. It's good.
Yes.
It's awesome.
And the other thing I wanted to say is that like you need to choose like right when you go to a tournament, and it made me remember that time where I did the grappling industry in New York. I shot a video. So if you want to see like a promotional corporate video about grappling industries,
You did one?
yeah, I did one. That was
Nice.
like my first little video because I wanted to like just start it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bit, but then I had 10 fights that day. This is what happened. Yeah. So
You fought 10 times?
I did like
It's-
two
it-
divisions.
It's double elimination.
And I shot a video. Imagine. That was like such a. I mean, I didn't really like both of them are not like I could have done a better video and I could have done better also in the competition. But the fact that I did both at the same time,
Right.
I mean,
Maybe your head wasn't into
well,
either one.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like I
How did you do that day?
Well, I could have won, but I got third.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, and the way it works, it's a round robin.
Okay.
So
I love grappling industries. I like their setup. I like they're very organized. They have their set of refs, and their rule set is really interesting.
yeah,
And,
yeah. This is why like it's kind of fun because, and also you get so much fight,
Yeah.
so much.
The whole double elimination thing, it sucks when it's not present in local tournaments. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You should have double elimination. I know it makes it for a long day, and I know it kind of drags things on. But when people spend $100 to be able to compete, it'd be nice to be able to have at least 2 fights.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean now.
Yeah, I like that too. I like them also. I eat there all the time. I have their latkes are terrific.
What are you talking about?
Grappling industry. Sorry, I thought you said something else. Never mind.
No, it's a really good promotion. The fact that Quebec is a little limited, so we got to go on the outskirts and in Ottawa and this and that, but it's a different story.
Yeah, hopefully this can be like sorted out.
Apparently it's going to take some time. From what I heard, it's going to take some time, that they're still in the middle of the legal aspect of it, and there's still a ways to go.
Back in the day when it kind of first started, how long ago was that now?
Man, it's been
years. Has it been like 4 years, you think? 5 years?
Almost 4 years.
I have to say.
Back then, somebody said, like after a year, they said it's going to take at least another 5 years. And we're probably at that point now. So,
yeah, we're close.
And we're not, I don't think there's,
it sucks.
We don't see the sun behind the clouds yet.
It sucks. So we stick to, so what's great is that we still have promoters that are going to Hawkesbury, Ontario, which is 40 minutes away from Montreal.
Yeah, we're getting used to it now.
We're getting used to it, so which sucks though. We shouldn't be getting used to it. We should be yelling with our arms up, but we're getting used to it. There's Grappling Industries that's doing Grappling Industries Boston. They're doing New Hampshire. So, I mean, it's not too far. You still have to pay things in US dollars. If you're going to stay overnight, you got to pay for the hotel. You got to pay for your gas and this and that. But at least we have a few that are still close by, so it's not too bad. I wanted to ask you about your setup at Mile End.
Yes.
What does a typical class look like? And I always ask guests this because I'm super curious of, do you do a warm-up? What does it look like? If you don't do a warm-up, do you do technique? What techniques are you doing? Do you have a curriculum? Do you don't have a curriculum? So I'm kind of curious how you guys run over there.
Well, you mean Koji mainly?
Sure.
Because, usually we start with a warm-up. I mean, we tend to, like, Koji tends to, like, do he really loves techniques. He's, like, he's, like, an encyclopedia of techniques. So sometimes we almost, like, ask him to show less because he likes to show a lot. And tricky stuff like modern jiu-jitsu. And like, he will go, like, light kind of a warm-up. And like, techniques... like drills, techniques, and sparring at the end. On my side with the intro, this is the same kind of a model. But I try to push a little bit more for the warm up, and I do also techniques and sparring.
How much sparring do you do per class?
Well, you mean in the myself or?
Sure.
In the class that you teach.
On the class that I teach?
Yes.
Yeah. It's very few. Like, the introduction to jiu-jitsu is just an hour. So this is kind of hard because I need to squeeze a lot of things and people, like, ask me a lot of questions. So
you're preaching to the choir.
It's kind of like our fundamentals class on Saturdays.
But not just that, but I'm in the exact same boat in Brossard. Oh. So since I've been teaching there for a month, and our classes are 1 hour long, and I find it, I'm really glad you said that, and I'm not alone, that I find it really hard to figure out what kind of warm-up / technique / rolling and how to incorporate that in an hour, because our typical classes at BTT are an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it's an hour of technique and 30 minutes of rolling. Now I have to put a no-gi warm-up in, which I usually take 15 minutes, where we do the armbar, triangle, omoplata, kimura, and guillotine. So that's their warm-up. And then I give that 15 minutes. If people aren't done the warm-up in 15 minutes, it's too bad for you. I stop the warm-up, and then we fall right away into technique. So I'll teach 2, maximum 3 techniques, and then I'll save 15 minutes at the end for rolling, which I don't find is enough. But I'm doing what I can with 60 minutes. Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from. It's really hard.
And also, like, the students are, like, super new, so like they really don't know anything, and this is why also, like, prior to the class, and I'm gonna actually, like, work on a little bit more of that, like making these little videos. I did a video of to tell them just, like, basic BJJ language, because I'm like, okay, I don't want to spend, like, minutes talking about what is an underhook or what is, like, just like all of these terms. What is a guard in jiu-jitsu, you know? So prior to the class, I did it, like, so quick, but then I sent them that. So now, like, I'm really building on the program, because this is the first time I'm giving it. So I see, like, also how the students respond, but I mostly, like, plan it in advance and see what's, like, kind of a logical way to introduce jiu-jitsu, because, you know, it's ground fighting, but then there's also, like, takedowns, and, you know, there's, like, so many things. And so I'm working on that, like, for my class. But yeah, like I would say that for Koji and like Viera, he also teaches. It's like per week we'll have like
a
an
theme.
overall theme exactly that we're gonna follow, you know, so we can work a little bit more deeply.
Kind of setup that you said is pretty good, I think. Like you have 15 minutes left at the end for rolling, so would you get like 2 or 3 rolls?
So if you think 15 minutes warm up, 15 minutes roll, and then you're left with 30 minutes of technique.
Yeah.
I find that's my sweet spot there.
But for a beginner class, first of all,
it's great.
Yes.
It's
right?
perfect. My problem is the ones that have been doing no-gi for 5 years.
Oh, right, yeah.
That are competing, example, at Mastermind, that I know I need to run through 7-minute or 8-minute rounds that I can't do. So what do I do? So I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
That one, it's weird, because you're like, I'm teaching 1 hour jiu-jitsu, it's going to be great. But it's never enough time. It's I would love, give me 15 minutes or give me 30 minutes more. So now I'm working with the owner that owns the school to try to figure out time frames and see if we can move things around and try to make it a little longer to make my life easier and to give more back to the students. So don't pay me more. Pay me the same amount. I'll still, I'll stay an extra 15 or 30 minutes. I'm okay with that. But I know that the students will benefit that much more from it. So when you go to compete, so the competitors, even though it's just a small percentage, I know I'll give much more back to them. And the ones that are just casual jiu-jitsu people that will go once or twice a week, just that little bit more will make so much of a difference, because we've established that every class is a certain amount of time, and you could build a standard. We're building a standard off of an hour is like so hard. It's really difficult for people who have already done a little bit of jiu-jitsu. People who have done no jiu-jitsu, I think an hour flies by like that, right? But people who have a little bit of experience, it's like you'd have to separate the two, but you don't want to, because you want the people with experience to help out the people who don't know much jiu-jitsu, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Unless you're at a competition class or something.
Competition class, which is something even Fred doesn't do.
Yeah.
Which I spoke to him about, but he said it too. He's like, you do a competition class, you're separating, example, kids from kids, when everyone's helping out each other. And that's the goal of jiu-jitsu. And, it's like, example, you get your blue belt. You're not doing blue belt stuff. You're helping out the white belts. You get your purple belt. You're not doing purple belt stuff. You're helping out the blue belts.
If you made another separate additional class that was only for people that are on the competition team, let's say, right?
You don't feel that it segregates a certain type of people to another?
No, it gives the other ones a beneficial class, right? Because they're part of the... See, I've spoken... I don't know if I've spoken to Fred about it, but I've spoken this to people before about... I don't know if there's any other schools out there. Maybe you guys can tell me if there is that separate and we have a leisure division and we have a competition team.
This is okay. Well, I mean, in that subject, this is what I observed when I was in Tokyo, because again, like their system, it was very compartimenté,
compartmentalized. Yeah.
So yeah, they had like the leisure people like to themselves, and the training, the pro training team is training within themselves.
Right.
So they don't really mix that much. But like they had white belts only classes, 60 plus only classes. They had women only classes. So there's like many options to navigate. But then someone that wants to compete but is still like recreational, maybe was a bit. I mean, maybe they had like a less options because couldn't really train with the pro team. So I think that there's like a balance to be able to access. It's kind of complicated. I think
it's important that you have the base, which everybody's included in. But then you have these separate little opportunities where you can focus. So Fred at our school incorporated. It's only been a couple of months, I think, that he does it. Where it's probably quite a few months now, but. Saturdays at 12 is a fundamentals class, so there's no sparring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have that
only
also.
Technique, right? Okay, so it's only one class a week.
So we have it more than one time.
Well, he offers it one class a week, so anybody who wants to go can go, and there's no rolling, there's no fear of injury. So you get some people that are nervous about fighting. They're new people. They're nervous, or they don't have the same energy or whatever. So they go to this class, and most of them go to the other classes also, but they make it a point to go to this class because they're still beginners, right? Just like, and a perfect example is you did dance too, so you know about this. But Fred's wife, TL, she's a very high-level hip-hop instructor. She used to teach at 8 Count in West Island. She was like one of their major ones. She was part of it was a TV show that happened quite a few years ago now called what was it called? Blue Crew, Blue something Crew.
I have no idea what you're talking
Yeah, look it up. If you look up TL's thing, you'll see like she was part of this thing called the Blue. Fuck, Fred's gonna kill me. The Blue Crew or Blue Team Crew. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, they were on an American TV show where this team from Montreal, TL was on, and all these famous dancers from Montreal were on this team, and they competed against all these American teams, and it was an American production. And it was who's the guy? Actually, he does jiu-jitsu. The host, Mario Lopez. No, young guy.
Yeah, Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez. He's like a blue belt, purple belt.
Yeah.
Okay, he was the host of the show, I think. And it was a dance competition, like So You Think You Can Dance. Very well known in the States. I don't remember what it's called, and they came in second. And apparently, everybody said to them they should have won, but because it was an American production, they gave the win to an American team, and they gave the Canadians the second place win or whatever. But so all that to say is that my niece was a student there, and my sister was involved with the whole dancing, and they said that it's very normal that they have a recreational team, dancers, and a competition team. So the students that like to dance, because the kids want to dance, but they're just not that good or whatever, but they still enjoy it and they're into it, but they're just not competition material. They don't make the cut for the competition team. That's it.
Yeah, but I find that sometimes this is it. I think that it's cool to create these to have a setup for that, but I think it's cool also to create a moment where they can reach as well, because a school
where they can
needs
what?
Like reach each other.
Yeah.
No, but obviously they do. Like I was saying, you don't segregate them.
Okay,
you have all the base is everybody's together. But then you offer this one class to people that are on the competition team.
Yeah.
But you don't feel that the other students would feel like, oh, it sucks I'm not on the competition team?
No, because I'm one of those other students.
No, I'm talking about kids.
Okay.
No, but I mean, what
Even
if
kids, what are we going to teach them?
But what
My
if,
kid learns that he's not going to be the best at everything he does. He has to try his hardest. He said, but if he doesn't make the cut, that's tough bananas. That's the way it is.
But I find that it should be open to like anybody that he really wants to compete, and maybe he's not like the best, but whatever, like he will get
Absolutely
there.
he can.
Right.
So he can access it. I think it's just you can ask and then you just go and try. But what else?
Listen, I think if the person said, if the main instructor says, listen, we're not going to, not let you guys come to this competition class. But the whole point of this is because if you are a competitor, we're creating a class, especially for the people that compete regularly. So if you're not going to compete at least 3 times this year, then don't bother coming to this class.
I find that also it's this is what I'm learning also, like since I started to like be more involved with Mile End and my coach, and like trying to find a good balance in offering classes, because offering classes is not that simple. You need people to come in, and you need to and it's time,
Yeah.
So you not just offer every class as possible, because then you also have to manage them, and it's not that simple. So and you need to see, and this is why like already for me, like I want to ask my students, and I'm kind of like a bit surprised that, because I traveled and I visited so many schools, and the way that jiu-jitsu is taught it's really kind of organic, casual. Like there's no necessarily like there's not a way to do it. There's not a way to like give belts. I mean, everything is kind of out there, and people organize it the way they want. The knowledge, and it's not like and I come from university. Like for me, it's all academy. Like I need to write stuff and I need to like organize, and this is kind of what I'm like kind of doing by mistake, I guess.
Well, you came with notes.
Well, yeah. Because but with my class, I'm just like, okay, I need to message my students. I need to like, and then like now I'm already thinking that I need to ask them what they think and what
like
they
feedback,
need.
yeah.
Exactly, feedbacks, and I don't think that I was ever asked, like in all the schools I went to, like I never filled like questions,
I know what you mean.
Because this is like all the businesses out there, this is what they're doing, they're trying to inquire about like the clients and the people, because they want to offer better services, but jiu-jitsu doesn't do that. So
there's 2 trains of thoughts. Is you either care too much, because I think that you could either go either way, is that as much as you want to ask your students Are they happy? Are they learning what they're supposed to? If they're happy, they'll stick around. As much as you don't want to lose students because they're not happy, I think that's part of jiu-jitsu. I think eventually it's not for everyone, even though, you know, we have GB who says jiu-jitsu for everyone. Jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone.
Nope.
I think there are some people who will realize it's not for them. And I always give the example of my wife. You know, my wife, jiu-jitsu is not for her.
No, okay, yeah.
You know, she doesn't like to be glued to another man.
yeah.
She doesn't like sweat trickling into her
My
mouth.
wife.
Only you.
Yeah, only me. She just doesn't like it. It's not for her.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a black belt in karate. She doesn't
but-
mind punching and kicking people in the face when we're at a distance, but when we get super close, it's not comfortable for her. So I think wanting to know what your students like is important, and what they're happy with is important, because I think about that almost every time I finish teaching a class now. I'm like, man, did they like class? And I'm trying to think back at their reactions. You know, like, did they enjoy that sweep? Like, could I have done things differently? And I think that's good to do. And to get direct feedback from them, if they're willing to give it to me, is fine. You know, when I get a message, I'm really happy about it. But at the end of the day, they either want to be there and they enjoy my teachings, or they don't. I try to be the best instructor that I can, the most charismatic person as I can, and try to support them as much as I can. But at the end of the day, I might not connect with everybody, and that's okay. You know, I
understand like what you say, but like this is not necessarily what I mean in the way that we need to like transform our jiu-jitsu for the people. I think that there is strategies that we can adopt so that we actually get them to stay and have them to embrace the martial artists, like, you know, a mind, because this is also like what we've been observing even at Mile End. Like, we have the practitioners, like, we don't want to stress them too much with like the traditional routines and like bowing, for instance, and like asking the coach if I can leave the mat, and you know, for each reason. And for me, like, I push for that to stay, you know, because this is still martial art, you know. It's jiu-jitsu, like, has so much benefits and stuff. Like, we want to portray it as like a, you know, nice lifestyle, but it's also a martial art. But this is why, like, also it brings so much into the, you know, it teaches you values and respect and
I totally
and
agree
discipline.
about that. Sure, the
And
cultural part of it.
exactly.
And,
But I think this is like so important to keep it, and so in a way, like, it's kind of okay. We show it as like, yeah, it's friendly for everyone. Like, I don't know how to say that, but anyway, but then, yeah, like, when people start doing it, then, yeah, like, you know what, you're gonna have to work, like, but because this is a martial art, so, but it teaches you, yeah, like, the discipline and all that. I think that this is really important to keep it also part of a, you know, this is part of the culture, and this needs to stay, I find. So I think that it's reaching that balance in between how we, you know, make it look like friendly, but also
that it's a martial art also.
Yeah,
right?
but not too friendly
that
in
there's
a way.
discipline involved.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that, yeah, like, once they are on the mat, this is when we can, like, show the martial art part, you know? And yeah, so still, like, trying to find
that, like, that middle ground, right?
Yeah.
It's
How
not
to
easy.
like actually get these people to embrace the martial art culture. And so that they will watch UFC and they will finally understand.
Yeah.
Because this is why, like, at the beginning I was struggling. I remember that when I started jiu-jitsu in the first year, I had that project of making a documentary about MMA in order to make it to like
show jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, but show jiu-jitsu, but also just like teach people about violence. And because I had my friends, they were like, you know, I would be, I'm watching UFC, and like, how can you watch that? Like, these like dumb guys, like, hitting each other with blood and stuff. Like, they really think that. I had even my dad at that time who was like embarrassed to watch UFC. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna watch it with you, but you know, like, don't. And I was like, why? Like, is this supposedly wrong? Because for him, it was kind of the fantasy of like seeing violence, you know, and it's something that you should be maybe, I don't know, ashamed of. I don't know, but I don't see this at all. For me, when I watch the fight, I watch the techniques, and I know that these guys, like, they work so hard. And it's not about violence. It's about like really, you know, showing like great fighting techniques. And I'm like, of course, when you see how they promote the fights, a lot of people will just think that it's dumb because, you know, they are promoting a bit of violence, a bit, sometimes a lot.
It's weird how things have changed that way, right? How, you know, it's a lot of a show now. You know, like you'll watch and like you're not too sure, is a person being honest and that's just the way he is, or is he putting on a show and he's just trying to promote the fight to, you know, get more pay-per-views and stuff like that.
That's definitely part of it, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. But I mean, okay, fine, like they decided to like go that way. I mean, and then they will stick to the same fans forever, I guess. But I mean, I don't see that jiu-jitsu needs to be like that. That's all.
But you're seeing more and more jiu-jitsu finishes in all UFC fights. I'd love to be able to pull up the stats in that recently. Take the past year or 2 years and compare it to before.
Well, I think another pretty famous podcaster was talking about that one day.
I don't know.
I don't listen to any other podcast.
No, we are the most famous podcast.
But and they were saying that, I think they were saying the statistics for not necessarily of how matches end, but there are more champions in the UFC that have a wrestling background and a striking background over any other different martial arts just together.
Interesting.
I thought maybe jiu-jitsu, but it was actually wrestling, I think, as well.
Jamie, can you pull that up for us on the computer?
It will happen. It will.
There's no Jamie. It's an empty chair. I wish the camera could see the empty chair right here. Anyone who'd like to come in, if you're in the Montreal area and you'd like to sit at a computer,
his name has to be Jamie.
But your name has to be Jamie. That's the only rule. Yeah, that's good. So, where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Yeah.
Really just type my name on Google. You're going to find a lot. Well, not a lot, but just like the links.
There's loads of stuff on me.
No, actually, there's nothing. But there's like my website and like just all the social media app, whatever.
Did you do any modeling?
If I did any modeling. Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes I have a lot of like... artist friends, photographers, and video artists. So yeah,
I think when I punched up your name, I just think that there were some shots that looked like you were posing, like, you know what I mean. Your hair was done. You're looking off in the distance, kind of thing, or whatever. You know, like.
I also like did acting when I was in school. So my friends that are filmmakers like did some... You
know, like just things that might say, oh, maybe she did some...
What are you showing?
Just like...
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah. But I mean, for... I have Instagram. I post on my Instagram account at Luciana Marcos. It's... I don't know how to say that, like .com? Well...
.com?
No, it's not .com because it's on Instagram. Yeah, underscore. Yeah. Gotcha. So this is where I like post like my research about jiu-jitsu. So pictures, videos. I will these short films. I'm gonna put them also on the Instagram account and IGTV. And in my website there is access to the videos I made and on YouTube. Like the channel is my name also, Luciana Marcos, and I'm gonna be adding like the videos I'm making and maybe like the videos I make for my students. They will be there too. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's it.
Good. So go follow her. Bryan, thanks for coming.
Hey,
thanks for being here, buddy.
I don't do much, but you know.
It's okay. Just find a Jamie for me. I
Try
need
to-
someone at the computer.
Yeah, if there's any like dead silence or something like that, I try to fill that space.
Yeah,
So
nice.
there's less awkwardness. And
Luciana,
then if ever Ray gets too drunk, then at least he passes out.
that never
Starts
happens.
Crying on the floor, I can take over.
I'm very regimented. The only thing I will have is a glass of wine, and
Or
everything
two.
else is water and creatine, and it pretty much sticks to that. So I could survive my trainings during the week because I'm really old and I need to be able to recuperate. So, Luciana, thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is really fun. I had like an occasion to
come
pitch like
Cool.
my ideas. Hopefully, I don't know. In the next years, like there will be more
more to talk about. So we'll have to have you on in 1 year time.
Well,
Or
maybe
less.
more. I don't know. No, not like oh my God. But no, I just I mean the overall situation in jiu-jitsu. I mean there are so many things that are happening just in Montreal, and I don't know. It's fun to watch like what's jiu-jitsu becoming, and so yeah. Thank you
gonna be
very
great.
much for
Well,
having
we'll
me.
see you on March 7th.
Yes,
Right?
your super fight. Go see her.
We'll be in the crowd.
Hawkesbury, Ontario, March 7th.
We'll be-
Luciana Marcos versus Brianna St. Marie. Super fight.
We'll try to cheer for you also,
Mastermind Cup.
but
cheer
Yeah.
for me, like
But-
or cry for me. No, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be great.
Yes.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much, guys.
You've been listening to Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu with Raymond Terrence. Go follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page. Turn on notifications and press that like button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the mats.